Welcome to River All Sorts, live and local on 1FM 98.5 Shepparton with Michael Costello.
Here's Healthy and Fresh, and then we'll go into our interview.
Healthy and Fresh with nutritionist and naturopath Kathleen Everingham.
Lemons are often used as a garnish for meals and are not usually consumed on their own due to their sour taste. When we squeeze the juice of a lemon onto our food, we're gaining valuable nutrients and compounds such as pectin. This is a soluble prebiotic fibre which helps slow the digestion of sugars and starches in our food. It also promotes stable blood sugar levels, and its prebiotic action feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Lemons also contain antioxidants such as flavonoids and limonoids, which help combat free radicals in the body. Lemons contain citric acid, and when consumed from food sources, it has an alkalizing effect. This means a lemon can help relieve heartburn and reflux. Squeeze fresh lemon juice over salads, fish and vegetables to brighten up both savoury and sweet dishes. There's more to lemon than just the juice.
You've been listening to Healthy and Fresh. Stay well with food straight from the garden and your kitchen.
And it's now time to actually have a chat to Kathleen. So we're going to listen to an interview that we've recorded with Kathleen earlier this week. And here it is. So Kathleen, thanks for joining us. What is the best typical sleep routine, and how many hours of sleep should we get in a day?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Michael. Obviously, it varies between different groups of people, different ages and so forth. Generally speaking, the younger you are, the more sleep you need, because during that period of your life when you're, laying on muscle growth and bone growth, sleep is so important, because that's generally when your body is doing repair work. It's also building and so forth. So obviously a baby, an infant is going to need the most amount of sleep. So we're looking at 16 hours for a baby, and that includes little nap times throughout the day. So yeah, look, that does seem a lot, but that includes all their little, 1 or 2 hour nap times. And then as children get older, it's getting into, between maybe 9 and 10 hours a day. Teenagers need to get about 10 hours of sleep per day, but of course, whether they get that or not is often having parents rip their hair out in frustration. But as you get into the typical adult time, age group of, which is normally about 18 to 64 years, you're looking at about 7 to 8 hours that are required. And then over 65s, we're looking at, around about the same. It all depends, obviously, on how physically active you are, but, around about the 7-hour period of time is ideal for those over 65 age group. And, having that best sleep routine is like the holy grail. Obviously, for some people, some people can fall asleep on a train, they can fall asleep anywhere, and someone like me cannot do that. But some people can. They find it very easy to fall asleep. But then you've got other people who really need to work at it. And it can get into a point where, people are really struggling to fall asleep. And then, of course, they start to worry they're not sleeping. So it becomes a bit of a vicious cycle. So really, like children, like babies, we also need to have, as an adult, a wind down routine. So even though as adults we think, well, I'm just going to fall asleep, it's such a basic thing, we need to do the same thing that we do for children. So we need to follow a routine, and that involves, signaling to our brain and our body that, okay, we are getting ready to go to sleep now. And that could take between an hour and a half to 2 hours to actually get into that routine. But it can be things like reading a nice calming book, nothing too scary. We don't want anything too aggressive or violent before we go to bed, because that'll keep us worrying. But something that's nice and calming to read. And it could also be some nice gentle stretching exercises. Nothing too, strenuous that's going to really ramp up your heart rate and so forth. But it's just nice gentle stretching. And then, of course, the obvious one that we hear about all the time, which is where we avoid the blue screen. So our computers, our phones, which we've come to depend upon so much. The the blue light that comes from those screens really does interfere with our brain's ability to, get into that natural production of serotonin and melatonin, which help us fall asleep. So we don't want to, sure, we all need our phones and our laptops or our computers or our tablets, but try and limit that, ideally 30 to 60 minutes before we go to bed. And then, once you've done all those things, if you're still sort of struggling to fall asleep, well, you can get out of bed. Don't sit there and just become very restless and frustrated. Maybe hop out of bed, go and get some nice deep breathing, some exercising, like that's nice and gentle again. Get some fresh air, go outside. It's so beautiful at the moment. I went outside last night. The sky was beautiful. It was so relaxing. Just some nice deep breathing. Go back inside again. Try it all again.
So what factors can influence our sleep patterns, and what can we do to avoid it?
Yeah, look, a lot of things can actually interrupt our sleep routine. I mean, the whole world is such a stressful place. So, but look, two things that are most common to us, and I'll start off with diet. So what we eat has a huge influence on how well we sleep, and especially coming into those 2 to 3 hours before we go to sleep. So obviously the biggest one is caffeine. We all know that caffeine is a stimulant that we can use to really keep us buzzing. But if we're trying to go to bed and go to sleep, then caffeine is not ideal. So any sort of, even our energy drinks, which I know our young generation really love our energy drinks, unfortunately, they're not ideal in those several hours before bedtime. So caffeine is a big no-no. The next one, which I think a lot of people don't often think about, is nicotine. Nicotine is a stimulant, and although we've got the message now around not smoking, it's, has all these harmful health issues, sort of side effects, there's a lot of people who have taken up vaping. And of course, that also contains nicotine. So we still need to get that message out there that nicotine is a stimulant and not ideal before, bed if you're trying to get to sleep. And then, forwarding on from that is still in the sort of, basic things that all affect us is diet. So things such as spicy foods, really heavy, stodgy foods right before or in a couple of hours before you go to bed is really going to keep your digestive system going really hard, and there's gurgling and, it's all going through your sort of upper and lower intestine, and that's really keeping your brain awake. Your brain is, managing all that. It's trying to, break everything down, and spicy foods as well can cause reflux. So if we're going to lay down and, you've got that reflux happening, well, that's going to be very disruptive to our sleep. So we need to, not do that. Nice, your nice good fats before you go to sleep at night, nice fatty fish or, your healthy greens. And then if you do get sort of peckish before you go to bed, we'll have like maybe a handful of nuts or a nice small banana, something like that, or even a small amount of yogurt. Just small amounts of food that's going to keep your tummy happy so you can fall asleep, but you're not starving. I mean, don't go to bed starving. It's you're just going to get frustrated. So just something nice and small is really good. The second thing I'd probably mention that affects us all is the lack of activity we do during the day. So we do need to get up and move about during the day. And unfortunately, if you're spending a lot of time sitting, you could be at work and spending a lot of time sitting during the day. You could be sitting at home. You could be caring for someone. You're not getting that, activity. So your brain recognizes that the sun is out or it's light, we are now into the waking cycle of the day. So we need activity. Our brain is more alert, we're more concentrated. So we need to be doing, even if it's just nice, gentle exercises, walking around, being active, being in the garden, is fantastic and pretty strenuous, or it can be strenuous work as well. So all these things are very, very important. So I would definitely encourage people to be more active during the day. Make sure that you are getting that activity into the day. If you're sort of struggling to do that, if you're working at a desk all day at work, or if you're caring for someone at home, try and just get in 30 minutes of exercise. It could be walking, that sort of thing. And that way, when you go to bed at night, your body actually feels tired. And you will actually start to feel like you can fall asleep, like it's not such a chore. You get into that nice sort of waking sleep cycle.
So we often feel overtired if we haven't slept well. What else could go wrong with our health without a good night's sleep? Because there's quite a few things that can happen, isn't there?
There definitely is. And I think because it becomes really frustrating for some people, because you hear about people who can go, oh, I only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night and I'm fantastic, fit as a fiddle, and I'm running around and achieving amazing things. And then you need people who require 9 hours of sleep. So yeah, look, without whatever your sleep requirements are, you do need them, because one of the things that you will definitely start to suffer from is a lack of concentration and focus. And that whatever it is you're doing during the day, you will start to feel as though it's much harder to stay focused on the task. And that is when errors can start to occur in your day. So it could be really basic tasks that you're doing. And that makes it really hard. So if you don't have your sleep, you can't concentrate, you can't focus, therefore you will start to make mistakes, and that's not good, especially if you've got a very important role to play in your life, whatever that may be. The second thing that can sometimes, and look, we talk about this driver fatigue when people are tired. We have a whole advertising campaign around making sure that every 2 hours you're supposed to stop and get your rest so you can drive a heavy vehicle. So if you're not getting that rest, you've got a slower reaction time, and that can be deadly. So if you're operating a car or machinery and your reflexes are not quick enough to quickly respond to an incident, then that is very dangerous in itself, and that can all come from a lack of sleep. So that's two things. Thirdly, I mean, you can just be a more irritable person to be around, because if you're tired, everything becomes so much harder. You can just, like, the simplest things in your day that normally you might brush aside and think, oh, that's fine, it doesn't bother me. Suddenly they become just the biggest issues in the world, and so annoying, and you become frustrated and irritable, and people sort of think, well, what's going on with that person? That's not a big deal, but to you it is, because you are not able to really, come to that with fresh eyes to just, be able to just go, look, it's fine, I'll deal with it, it'll be okay. So that's another thing. The last thing that's really important to me as a naturopath is that your recovery time from illness can be so much slower if you're not getting your sleep. And I say this to people all the time, that if you're not getting enough sleep, which is when the time in which your body is doing the repair work, well, then everything's slower. So your body's ability to heal is impaired. It's, slower recovery time. And it could be just, it could be something, important like a broken bone. But it could also just be your cold and flu. If you're not getting the sleep, when's the repair time? Well, that's all, lengthened in time, and, you've got more time off. You're not able to be the carer for your family, that sort of thing. So you can see how sleep is just so important. It's such a basic thing, but it's so important.
So what are some of the best foods to eat prior to promoting a good sleep, do you think?
Yeah, there are some good foods. The ones I was mentioning before, so that there's definitely food you want to rule out. Sometimes it's just a matter of ruling out the foods that are really getting in the way. So, the caffeine that I was mentioning before, the spicy foods. You can have the spicy foods and you can have the caffeine. You just don't want to have it within those 2 to 3 hours of going to sleep. But, even things like alcohol, unfortunately, you have to watch this because even though you might feel drowsy after alcohol, you really can still feel quite tired after, you've fallen asleep because you haven't had that restful sleep. So there's sleep and then there's the different levels of sleep. And what we're trying to do is get that nice, refreshing REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep, which is where the brain has gone down several levels so that you're getting that nice refreshed sleep. So anybody can sleep and have light sleep or deep sleep, and alcohol unfortunately gives you the sleep, it knocks you out, but you're not really getting the refreshed sleep. So again, even high sugary foods can cause blood sugar spikes. So it can give you energy and then you'll crash with that blood sugar. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that close to your bedtime as well. But there are foods that can help. So obviously eliminating all those four that I've just mentioned, but then you can bring in foods that contain tryptophan. So tryptophan is an amino acid. It converts into serotonin in the body and then into melatonin. And it does come naturally in a few foods. So that bananas are one, warm milk. So you can see how our grandparents, why they were having warm milk at night. And then turkey. So obviously you probably don't want to be eating turkey late at night, but warm milk and, a small banana are absolutely doable as a bit of a snack before bed if you're finding it difficult. There's also two foods that I'll mention actually contain melatonin, and those are walnuts and oatmeal. So I would call it porridge. But I mean, porridge probably not something you want to have right before bed, but you could definitely have, maybe 10 walnuts, and you're actually getting that sleep hormone that we all talk about. And, walnuts are a fantastic source of nice fat for us as well. So, look, these are the sorts of things that we can start to think about, but sometimes, as I said, it's cutting out the things that are stopping us to get that nice sleep. And then, if that works, great. But if it doesn't still work, you can try those few foods.
Live and local on 1FM 98.5 Shepparton. This is River All Sorts with Michael Costello. Healthy and fresh with nutritionist and naturopath Kathleen Everingham.
Mandarins are an easy-to-peel citrus fruit loaded with vitamin C. It's a powerful antioxidant that boosts your immune system and helps fight off colds. You will be pleased to know that it also keeps your skin glowing as well. Just one medium mandarin provides about 26% of your daily vitamin C needs. But that's not all. Mandarins also contain flavonoids like hesperidin. This has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. These compounds may help lower blood pressure and cholesterol levels, promoting heart health. Mandarins supply a modest amount of essential minerals like potassium and magnesium. It is also important to remember they contain B vitamins like folate and thiamine. These are crucial for energy production and brain health. Enjoy mandarins as a snack, or you can even toss them into salads for a bit of zing. You can also blend together some mandarin segments with some passion fruit pulp and a banana and serve with some Greek yogurt. Healthy fats and a big boost of vitamin C. You couldn't ask for anything more.
You've been listening to Healthy and Fresh. Stay well with food straight from the garden and your kitchen.
Thanks to Darren for that. And Kathleen is going to now continue her interview from a couple of weeks ago, where she spoke to us briefly about sleep and how sleep can get out of hand a little bit. So she's going to talk to us a little bit more about that topic. Okay, well, sometimes people have trouble sleeping because of stress, and then they feel a bit stressed because we haven't had enough sleep. So how can we break that cycle? Because it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it, sometimes?
It is. Yeah. Look, it becomes a vicious circle. So, for whatever reason in our lives is causing us to not sleep very well, and we could have been a very good sleeper, and then all of a sudden there's an event in our life which causes our brain to be very busy, and it's very hard to relax. So sometimes people can get into a bit of a panic because they go, well, what's wrong? You're like, I haven't changed anything. But it's usually something in the back of our mind that's either worrying us or some event in our life that has changed something and it's now interfering with our ability to sleep. So we need to have that routine, as I was mentioning before, because we're really training our brain and our body that this is the nighttime routine. So whatever is happening to cause it, we can still follow through on a routine. So, 30 to 60 minutes before we go to bed,
Mm.
we could have a nice warm shower or a bath. I mean, if you're time poor, have a shower. You can even get some lavender essential oil. You could put it in the corner of your shower so that that wafts up with the steam while you're having the shower, and it's so soothing. We use this with children. We put lavender essential oil maybe on a hanky or something, and we put it nearby their cot. It naturally soothes them. And we can do that too as adults. We're no different. So, as I was mentioning before, reading a nice calming book,
Mhm.
nothing too scary. Um, Even a magazine, something maybe we like gardening, maybe we have a hobby and we've got a magazine. Yeah, something that's not on a device because we don't want to get back into that blue light scenario. So something nice and calming. We can also do the deep breathing or meditation. So very simple breathing techniques. I like to use one which it doesn't really have a name, but it's where you inhale to 4 seconds and
Mm.
then you hold it for 4 seconds and then you exhale to 4 seconds and then you don't breathe for 4 seconds. So it's like a little square. So you go round and round in four. And once you've done that for a couple of times, you'll be amazed at how different you feel. So you can use these little techniques, whatever works for you, but that deep breathing or a meditation can be really fantastic as well. You can do that light stretching as I was mentioning before. But look, sometimes it's about the things we are doing that we shouldn't be doing. And, turning off electronic devices, again, 30 to 60 minutes before we go to bed. And, if you do need to do work from home, you're, busy professional or whatever it is you're doing, then put the night filter or I think it's called an eye protection mode. I have it on my laptop. So put that on if you do have to do work. Look, we live in reality, so we have to, be adaptable and flexible so we can do that as well.
So, what are some of the best foods to eat to help avoid and manage stress? Because there's often stuff that can help, isn't there?
Yeah, look, there is, and we definitely have to acknowledge, and I really have to acknowledge at this point that there are obviously people out there who have dietary issues. So it could be a lactose intolerance, or it could be a gluten intolerance. So when I'm sort of giving sort of ideas around what to do, obviously always take that into account. Or it could be a cultural practice that you need to observe. So always take those into account as well. There's certainly ways around these things as well. But generally speaking, even things like our green leafy vegetables, they're high in magnesium, and magnesium is a fantastic nutrient that, has so many different values to it, but it's a great muscle relaxant. And so sometimes people actually take magnesium as a supplement before they go to bed because they find that it helps them to relax, which is great, whatever works for you. So a good fatty fish is, often touted. So you're probably recognizing I'm going along the Mediterranean diet,
Mm.
um, sort of, outline here. But fatty fish, mackerel, salmon, sardines, the fatty fish have, are very high in omega-3. Um, omega-3 is a really good anti-inflammatory. So reducing inflammation means we're reducing that burden on the body, and sometimes stress can come out just because of the digestive processes of our body. So what we're trying to do here, I guess, is tick a lot of boxes and make sure that we're trying to do as much as we can. And lastly, I'd probably recommend is nuts are really good, sources of magnesium as well. And all these things can be incorporated into your diet. Obviously, if you're a vegan, or vegetarian, you can incorporate plant sort of proteins as well. And, you can add in your good fats, so to get around that. But, at the end of the day, if our digestive system is disrupted, maybe we're bloated, we've got reflux, and there's all issues happening downstairs as well. So we need to address that, because that's not going to help us get to sleep if everything's sort of gurgling and twisting around in our tummy. So we definitely need to address, any gut issues. Make sure that is nice and happy, upstairs and down, and everything will be able to relax a lot better, and we won't get that sort of pain and bloating as well.
So we live in a pretty busy world, and we're very dependent on technology. So how can we best use our devices to de-stress and sleep more?
Yeah, look, I mean, we can. I'm not going to sort of rule out electronic devices as being of no use at all. They can be fantastic. As I was mentioning before, like meditation, you can have guided meditation. What we need to do is we need to put it on the night mode or the eye protection mode on our phone. I mean, I would still recommend you don't go doom scrolling, as I think it's called on social media, because you can come across things which can make you sort of anxious or worried. And remember, we're trying to get into that nice, refreshing sleep. So, if you've got, what I like to do actually is I like to, if I sort of want to get some sort of guided meditation, I'll actually listen to it during the day and see if I like it, because we all respond differently to different methods of meditation or yoga or exercise. One exercise is, beneficial for some person and not for us. So I don't wait until that night time when you're lying down and everything's hinging on that guided meditation or guided breathing. Have a listen to it during the day and see if it really resonates with you. And if you like it, well, then once you get to that night time, having your device on that night mode, eye protection mode, and then listen to those guided meditation or that guided deep breathing. And that way you are getting the best out of your device. It is helping you. And that way you're falling asleep. You're not getting the blue light into your eye. That would be the best way to really get the benefit out of your device to help you fall asleep in a safe way.
Yeah. So what changes do you think could help improve sleep quality for people dealing with stress? Because that's a big problem often, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, it's at the end of the day, we can't control what's always going on in the world around us. We get up every day and we're faced with whatever we're faced with, and we try and control our situations as much as we can. But we really do need to sometimes be a bit of a warrior out in the world, and we need to face a lot of things. So, obviously, keeping our routines are really important to stick to, because it really does tell our bodies, what are we doing now? What's the next step? What's the next step? So I would highly encourage people to find the routine that works for you. Some of what I've said may not resonate with people at all, but other things will, and you can try and adapt to one thing at a time. I'm a big proponent of introducing one thing at a time, not introducing 10 things at a time, because you sometimes just need to work on one thing, make that stick for you, make it work for you, and then move on to the next thing to see if that will work. So try one thing. I would encourage people to try one thing. Try and, go through what I've mentioned today and see if that will help you. Obviously, as I said, routine is important, but if you tried these things, and often I've spoken to many people who have stress or sleep issues, they've often heard this before and they may have tried some of these things before. If you are suffering, please don't suffer, alone and think that you are the only person going through this and no one will be able to help you. Please do reach out and try and find someone who can, have the right tools to help you, whether it be your doctor or, a naturopath, a nutritionist. There's a whole lot of practitioners out there who have looked after people such as yourself. So please don't just think, well, I tried all that and it didn't work. Please do reach out and see if there's someone who can help you.
And finally, our listeners here on 1FM and many other stations have been learning recently from your new segments, Healthy and Fresh. So where did the idea come from and how has it been received across the various stations that have taken it?
I actually, I've been talking to people for many years about their health, and one thing that I always find conflicting for people is we live in an age where there's so much information, which should be a great thing, and it is in many areas. We're sort of able to self-learn and work out what's best for us. But at the same time, there's so many conflicting ideas, like the perfect diet. What is that? No, there is no perfect diet. It's about what works for you. So people really do suffer, and I've had people in tears with me saying, well, I've tried all this and it hasn't worked for them. So sometimes we really do need it to bring it back to the basics. And I think it's a bit scary to think that sometimes people think that the only way to sort of lose weight is by eating protein bars all day or protein shakes all day, and they're not really taking in any fruits or vegetables. That's like, oh, well, that's got too much sugar. So I guess what I've tried to do with Healthy and Fresh is whatever vegetable you have in your garden or in your fridge or whatever, fruit or vegetable you are going to buy today, there's so much amazing nutrient content in each one. There's no one perfect vegetable or fruit that you have to get, and if you don't get that, then it's all going downhill. You like every fruit and vegetable and herb has so much amazing nutrient quality to it, so much that can help you. And so by putting it into Healthy and Fresh, it only goes for generally a minute. It's just quick sound bites. We talk about just normal fruits and vegetables. It's nothing, that's out of the ordinary. So it just reminds people. I think people always believe that, we know this and that, blah, blah, blah. But it's just really about reminding people, well, you know what, pumpkins are amazing and so are potatoes, even though they do get a bad rap sometimes. So I guess I'm just sort of that annoying that annoying person reminding them that, please try and incorporate as many fruits and vegetables and herbs into your day, because they really are your best friend for health.
No worries, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward to chatting to you again sometime.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's been so lovely talking to you and being able to connect to all your listeners today. So I wish you all the best.
Live and local on 1FM 98.5 Shepparton. This is River All Sorts with Michael Costello.